One, two, three, four, five. One more. Okay, we're live. We're live on Facebook and YouTube, on all the platforms, all the pages, the channels.
Justin,
we're gonna save the introduction for after the musical introduction. So we're minute and 19 seconds. We'll be right back. This will allow people time to come in, so we can talk about this event in Sedona and sit down with Tolek and see what's happening. We'll be right back. I'm just going to kill it because for some reason the graphics weren't coming out, so that's okay. So we have. Let me pull up the trailer real quick, just so I have it ready.
Sure.
To play it yet. So let me just bring everybody up to speed. Tolek is a friend of mine, very good friend of mine. We met 2 years ago. I went to Sedona. I was called to Sedona. I ended up running into him. He was having a conference. We streamed as much as we could from that conference. It was an incredible conference. We did a couple other little shows together, and so I don't know. He was going to do he was now going to do it in South Texas, about 2 hours from where I grew up, and that didn't work out. And I just had a feeling that it wasn't going to be there. I told him I'm coming, and next thing you know, he's back in Sedona. He's found a really cool place to do the Wopila, a special gathering of friends and family. This is in Sedona, the 25th, 26th, and 27th. There's still tickets available. We're going to be part of it. We're going to stream as much as we can. We're going to do on-site interviews with as much as people as we can. I've got two other people who are going to assist me. I'm excited about it. There's a lot of people going to Sedona during this time. I think I got a list of about 10 people I'm sending over to you that I know are coming from out of town to go to the event. But we're here to talk about it. And let me just say on behalf of everybody in the soulogy community, welcome back. Tolek. Tolek is someone who's been out in the forefront of the lightworker community for many, many years. I believe your YouTube, which used to be huge and still pulls in some, was what is it? Tolek the Andromeda, the Andromeda group. Is that
it's on Earth. So before I continue, Todd, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're probably the fourth or fifth person who said to me, I know you originally said Texas, but none of us thought that it was going to happen there.
Uh-oh, he got popped off. I don't know what's happening today. The energy is just off the charts. I don't know what else to say about it. But it's just absolutely off the charts. He'll be back. Now this is going to be a pretty extraordinary event. We're going to be taking part in this event, the 25th, 26th, and 27th in Sedona. We're also going to be doing some stuff the previous weekend, and all during the week we're going to be broadcasting in West Sedona at our friend Jade Lyons' building, where him and his crew hang out. Anyway, Tolek will be back in just a second. I do have a little trailer. I'm going to go ahead and play this while we're waiting for him to come back. So let's just see if this is going to. Nice little trailer. Excuse my hair. Morgan cut my hair last night, and I haven't figured out how to style it. Let me get some the chat up here and see what's happening. So Tolek has been out in the community for a long, long time. He came out, had a pretty strong YouTube channel. I believe it's called the Andromedan Group, Tolek the Andromedan Group. But anyway, he's done a lot of events in the Sedona area. He's pretty well known in that area. And this is going to be a continuation of that. You saw in the trailer, there's a lot of Native American speakers, presenters, influence, in what he's going to be putting out. There'll also be some of the people that are known in the Sedona area. They're going to be taking part in, and I don't have all the information, but he's here now to explain it to us. So there we go.
I know. I'm talking away. I'm going through the details, what I experienced. I'm like, Todd.
Yeah. No, you popped out as soon as you said thank you for coming. Getting together, and then you popped out. But I played the trailer, and I was explaining to him what you have been doing in the Sedona area, what you've been doing in the Lightworker community, and a little bit about what the theme is, and as much as I could.
Well, thank you.
When I ran out, you popped back in. So what? How do you pronounce it? Number one, what is that word?
So the first word is, depending on your inclination, it's either Wopila or, as the Lakota would say it, Wopila.
Wopila.
And the word Wopila, I chose that word purposely. As a matter of fact, the naming of this whole special gathering came to me very intuitively. And once I got it, there was no changing, no going back. It just was something that very much felt right. And the story that I was telling to the microphone, and I thought it was you, I'll make it somewhat brief. Within the past month, I've been doing quite a bit of traveling, but specifically I was in Washta, South Dakota, as a guest speaker for Mia Frioletto's Cosmic Consciousness and Contact Conference. Right. And while there, I was out with the attendees and the speakers and everybody else. And I was blessed to go to the Badlands. And the first place that we went to is called Mato Tilopa. Those are the Lakota words. It translates to Bear Lodge. And the American government calls it Devil's Tower. So it's relevant for the following reason: the theme of bear. So just bear with me here, and no pun at all. So the first night out, we went to Mato Tilopa Bear Lodge. Wow. Sunday afternoon, all of us as a group, there were probably 14 or 15 left. We went to Mato Paha on sacred Oglala Lakota land. And that place is Bear Butte, otherwise known as Bear Mountain, right? This is almost incredible to tell the story, but if you'll remember, my Texas conference was originally scheduled to take place at the Overlook Event Center at Dancing Bear Ranch in Mico, Texas, right? And so here I am. About a week ago, I settled on this particular venue in the greater Sedona area, not realizing exactly where it was located. I knew that it was somewhere in the Boynton Canyon area in Sedona. I need to look at the camera here. Boynton Canyon, Sedona, and also close to Enchantment. But I didn't know exactly where it was located. So following the bear theme, it is exactly across the street from Mato Paha, Bear Mountain, Sedona. So we now have, and I didn't plan this. Maybe.
Oh, you got popped off again, man. Oh my God. Yeah, I think the repetitive sound is the Galactics coming in. He's got a very strong Andromedan connection. Yeah, no doubt. Oh, there's the stream. I just wanted to make sure we were still on. Yeah, I don't know. Something's going on. Melissa got popped. We haven't had any problems with this particular provider. Here we go. You're back.
Yep.
So you're right across the street from Bear Mountain.
Right. So, yeah, the original conference was supposed to take place at Dancing Bear Ranch, Michael, Texas, right next to Lake Medina, but Dancing Bear Ranch. Then, here we are a month ago, I go to Bear Lodge and Bear Butte. I come back here about a week and a few days ago, and I'm looking and considering 3 different venues. And on instinct, I chose this one. Mm-hmm. And I was out on the land a couple of days ago, and I'm following the directions, and I look up, and there's a Bear Mountain.
You can't make pictures.
I know, I can't. And as I started to say before, I blanked out, and I think I'm going to keep my hands off the table so we don't rock the camera, i.e. the
I think it's in drawing.
Yeah, well, maybe. But I'm not going to talk with my hands on the table. It's when I walk that land that I could feel what everybody's talked about for years, which is the sacred energy of the land.
Yeah.
It is literally across the street from Bear Mountain. There it is, big as life. It has a teepee on it.
Wow.
It has a massive sweat lodge, which can hold about 30 people. It's got a geodesic dome in which the acoustics are absolutely amazing. I was there with the owner, and we both picked up our native flutes and started to play.
Wow.
It was like listening to angels play in heaven because of the reverb in this geodesic dome. And the conference will take place inside of, I guess, what you could call a large Bedouin tent. Maybe it's 60 or 70 long.
Wow.
By about 30 or 40, probably about 40 wide. And
wow.
So we're targeted for, and it's interesting because I've always felt, here's the, in the world of, spirituality, you need to look at this camera. And then in the world of spirituality, we always talk about our energy and our intention. And from the beginning, I had always intended it to be, as far back as March and April when I was planning it, that this year would be decidedly different. It would be absolutely attendee-centric, that we would hold it in the round. Microphones would be passed around like talking sticks, Native American style, and cap it at somewhere between 60, 74 people max. Well, here we are months later, and 3 or 4 weeks ago, I think it had 20 some odd people. As of now, I'm going to top out at around 74 people for the last 12 or 14 tickets that are available to sell.
Is that right? There's only 12 or 14 left?
That's about it. Yeah, I mean,
wow.
in order.
Now he popped out again. Wow. So there's 12 to 14 tickets left. That means if you haven't got one, you might want to go ahead and do that. We're going to do a little bit of stuff there. We're obviously going to stream and probably do, maybe do a little. Here we go. Here he's back.
Me this time.
You're good. It's all right. It's just that Sedona. It's that Sedona energy, man.
Yeah. So I'm going to scooch over here. So in order to keep to that desired, more intimate size of gathering, my intuition has always told me keep it somewhere around 60, 2, 3, 4 attendees. Volunteers and speakers make up the rest. So, like I said, I've got room for about another 12 or 14 attendee tickets. But we've got 7 or 8 Native American speakers, some younger guys by the name of Adam and Izzy. Mm-hmm. Adam is from the Haudenosaunee people. Izzy is from the Oneida and Washoe tribes.
Yeah.
Annette Moody, Itzan Are, who's Chiricahua Apache. James White. I'm blessed. So had always hoped that I would get some kind of Lakota or Dakota representation. A couple of weeks ago, Robert Soto, the acting chief of the Lepon Apache down in McAllen, Texas, had some things going on in his life, and it just became improbable for him to come over to this conference. So who stepped in with it? Like within a couple days, moves like thunder. The Sundance chief and Wopila chief of the Dakota people.
Wow.
Clifford Mahooty stands with Bear, amazing flautist, and the list goes on and on of Native people. And then we've also got guys like Tom Dongo, who's just an extraordinary paranormal researcher, is a medical intuitive, is probably one of the most natural remote viewers on the planet.
Wow.
Adana of Star Ancestry. Kimberly Griffin said she's coming over. I don't know if Shakina will make it, but I've invited her and Suzanne Ross. I'm going out with a bang. This will probably be my last, large-scale conference where I have this many speakers. Just because of the logistics involved with pulling in 16 plus speakers. It's a lot. Now, since I've been through a lot in my life recently, but since I am purposefully relocating here, and I'll be spending my remaining days here, this is going to be my base of operations from this point forward.
Sedona?
Yeah. And it's the greater Sedona area. I have a place that I'm going to build on out in the country.
Is that the same place that you were looking at 2 years ago?
2 years ago, yeah. I pulled. I'm not a rich guy at all, and there's a buddy of mine who wants to leave my home state in New England and come out here, and we talked about it, and we said, okay, we're going to find a piece of land big enough. We pooled our money, so we got 4 acres, and we're just going to go cut it down the middle. So I haven't done anything with it yet. So I hope to put a house up there, small one, a house.
So you're going to be based in Sedona then. That's cool.
Yeah, the greater Sedona area, out in the country with 12-minute access to the Sedona wine country, 24 minutes to Sedona, 17 minutes to Cottonwood, Old Town.
Yeah.
They're all wonderful places. But
I'm looking forward to going back.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of talking, so let's have a conversation. How are you doing?
I'm just hanging in there. We were talking about the energies before the show, and man, they're just ramping up. And so going back to what you were saying, like I was the 4th or 5th person that said it. I didn't think it was going to happen in Texas. What happened to me was, so I told my wife, I said, Tolek called, and I know I need to go back to Texas. I've got to go retrace my steps. It's 2 hours from, you mentioned the Lipan Apache. I mean, that's my area down there. That's where I grew up, South Texas. And so I told her, I said, hey, I'm going to go. We're going to go. And she said, I don't think I want to go to Texas. And so I said, okay, fine. I'm going to go. I'll rent my friend's RV and I'm going to go down there. And then something came in and it was like, you guys, the energy things are happening. You guys really can't be separated right now. I was getting this. And then the next thing I know, you said, oh, we're going to Sedona. And then as soon as I told her that, she goes, oh, I'm going.
I'm going. Right. Yeah, of course.
But no, it's just been a lot of energy this month and all summer. And this month has just been huge. And there's something going on because whenever that happened, I started to see this alignment occurring, which wasn't just involving me or soulogy. It was just a bunch of people. And now all these people are going to town the last 2 weeks of the month. There's, I think, including yours, there's 3 events that I know of. We're going to be broadcasting in West Sedona every day, just having people stop by and kind of, just doing our thing several hours a day. But I feel like that there's something big going on over there. I feel like there's a lot of souls that are going to be in the same proximity. And regardless of what's said or discussed or presented or performed, I think that just being in proximity there's going to be something going on in terms of code exchange and just activating each other. I don't know. To me, it's a small microcosm of what's happened worldwide, but it feels really, really exciting to me. So I'm really happy.
I think that anytime you get, so think of Sedona as one of the spiritual hearts of this country, probably the spiritual center. There's places like Mount Shasta, Asheville, North Carolina, but this place pretty much sits at the top of the power pyramid of
Yeah.
vortexes and energy spots. And then on top of that, you have people who purposefully come here to come to events like mine, which reach into the energy and vibration of their hearts and their souls and their lives. And they come here purposefully. And one of the reasons that they come here purposefully is because they want to be able to join with other people similar to them. They want to be able to share similar life stories. They want to be able to tell their own stories. And just a brief nod to my special gathering this year, it's I named it a special gathering because I want it to be attendee centric. As an example, typical conferences, whether large or medium size, speaker, on stage, podium, microphone, formal, people at tables, they're talked at. Attendees are talked at for an hour and a half to 2 hours. Not this one. I'm flipping the paradigm on its head. And a speaker, he or she, from whatever part of the world or the country that they're from, they're going to speak for 20 to 35 or 40 minutes at most.
Yeah.
And immediately it's going to get tossed over to the audience, the attendees, the whole conference, all 3 days.
That's awesome.
All 3 days. So it's all about attendee participation. I
agree with that. I think that's like people are asking me what's the soulogy schedule going to be over there. You got popped out again. But we've just got a kind of like a loose kind of calendar. Here's where we're going to be, and here's what's going to be going on. But it's the Andromedans. It stopped though. That sound stopped. I don't know what happened. Well, we're probably good now. But I was going to tell you the last time that we went through Sedona, Shakina remember y'all I don't know if you were there because you might have already been taking care of your personal business, but there had been that snow there, and she had that community center rented.
I was standing there in the snow, in 1.5 feet of snow.
Okay.
So we pulled that little event off. yeah, we did.
So she ended up having to take a rain check. They couldn't have the event. So then I came to town. I said, I want to have an event. And she said, look, I'll gift you this space I have. I'll gift it to you because they couldn't do it. So that's what we did. We had 4 hours. Now it was very loose, but we had 4 hours of just people coming up and doing their own thing. Romeo Barron came down from LA. He did light language. Shakina Rose did light language. But to Tolek's point, let me just tell him. But to your point, what happened during that 4 hours, we didn't really have a set schedule. We had a few people who were going to do this and do that, but most of it was spontaneous and improvisational. But one of the things we did was said to people, hey, anybody want to come up and take the mic? We weren't passing the mic around, but we said, does anybody want to come up? So people would come up and they would do a little testimony and they would just talk about whatever. We did the same thing in South Florida in January, and it was beautiful, man. These women got up and just started talking about their journey, and it was powerful, man. It was just really powerful.
I remember you saying this a little while ago, and the two words that keyed in on were South Florida, because at that moment in time, in January of 20, this year, in January of 20, I was temporarily staying in Jupiter Beach, Florida, just north of West Palm. So we must have been somewhat close.
Yeah.
I don't know how close, but South Florida is South Florida.
Yeah, these situations are becoming more commonplace. They really are. You mentioned Asheville. We had a beautiful lady on for the second time about 10 days ago. And she lives in Asheville, and she sent me a note and said, I'm coming to the conference. She already bought her ticket.
Yay!
Got another friend coming from Florida. I'm sorry, she's now living in Arkansas. She's on the road in upstate New York. Got some friends coming from Utah. A real good dear friends of mine, a couple. But yeah, they're just coming out of the woodwork.
Well, this is, if you remember from my 2018 conference, this is typical. When I asked the question around the room, the answers were, How many of you came in from around the country? 80 to 85% of the hands went up from around the country. And like other years, I had probably 4 to 5% people flew in internationally. I don't think we're going to get that this year. And only like 3 or 4% from local people from the Sedona area.
Wow.
And so Adam and Izzy, the Hodunsane and Oneida Washoe guys, they're bringing in musicians and friends from Washington, Oregon, California, Nevada, Utah. Garrett Duncan is bringing in people from Colorado. This is going to be like the Western Regional Conference of Spirituality and Natives, Inc.
Yeah, and there's a strong Native American presence in this conference, right? How did that evolve? You have a link to the Lakota, right? I think you do. Yes. I have not only some blood elements, but more importantly, much like you and many of the people on this planet, their soul fractal, the slice of the totality of their oversoul that animates the body comes from different star systems around the cosmos. Right? True. So mine comes from, in the Pleiades, there are major star systems. Tegeta is one of those major star systems. And one of the 4 planets in the Tegeta star system is the planet Dakote, Dakote, as compared to Dakota. And to make a really long story short, the Genesis people of many Western natives, Indians, as they prefer to be called, interestingly enough, the genesis of those people is the planet Dakote. Wow. Yeah, Apache, Navajo, Comanche, and the many Apache, Comanche, Tohono O'odham, Hopi, Havasupai, and the list goes on and on. And it's a long story, but the really short version is a few 100,000 years ago, people from, let me try this again. About 100,000 years ago, people from the planet Dakote migrated to planet Earth at the invitation of people in Lemuria who had a starbase. The people of Dakote were going to and did share their knowledge of the land, of herbs, of living, as the Lakotas say, Changleshka, in a Wakan, in a sacred circle with their friends, their family, with the animals, right? So the Dakote people were teaching the more technical people of Lemuria how to live more in harmony with the land. And the Lemurians were sharing some of their technology with the people from Dakote. I also learned that they never ever intermarried. It was never ever, they lived close to each other and even communally, but there was never any cross-seeding. Wow. Earth changes, upheaval, Lemuria goes underwater. Approximately 50,000 years ago, there was this migration, both up South America and all through Asia, and they ended up coming down into North America. And those Lemurian people and a large population of who were the Dakote people, the descendants of the original Dakote people, are the people of the Western U.S., the native people of the Western U.S. Wow. So my soul fractal originally comes from planet Dakote. Wow. And that's the circuitous story of the relevance. That's really fascinating. What constellation or what star system? Pleiades. It's So my soul fractal is Pleiades. Oh, it's Pleiades. It's okay. Pleiades, right? So like Pleiades, Winchala Sakowin by the Lakota, if I'm saying it right. The 7 sisters. Right. And interestingly enough, I've told this story to some Lakota people, and they're like, you're not supposed to know that information. This is quite a few years ago. Before I got vetted. Before you got vetted. Did you do a regression, or did you have just dimensional experiences or oral history? I had
a regression. I've had my own experience where my Earth body I was interestingly enough, of all things, I was still visiting my folks, my parents back in the Northeast, summer, many, many years ago. And it was like 3 years before I started all this work. It was June of '08. My Earth body was in bed sleeping, and simultaneously I was on this triangular precipice back in my home world, overlooking an incredibly turquoise blue ocean. So think of all of planet Dakota as having a Mediterranean look, feel, temperate climate. Palm trees everywhere, grapes, guava, papaya, dolphins, and on and on. And so I was on this tall cliff, this precipice, Ambassador Tanka in the middle, Vice Chairwoman Tanya was on the right, I was on his left, and we were holding sacred ceremony. We were holding prayers over the ocean, collectively, the three of us. And then next thing I know, we're wrapping up prayers, bang, I drop back into my body. And I have today what I call Wakan Chekiye, which are Lakota words for sacred prayer. And it starts out by saying, "May Wakandanka, Creator, Great Mystery, bless you all the days of your life." Interestingly enough, and I could not have predicted this either, as I got up, threw the light on, grabbed a pen and a piece of paper, and wrote it all down back in '08, there were 12 verses, the same number as the number of the Senior Andromeda Council planets. There were 12 verses that I wrote down. And this is not something that came out of my Earth self. This is something that came from those prayers on that precipice. Wow. I'll send you, as a matter of fact, I'm printing a copy to give to everyone at the conference.
All right.
Because it's got such a powerful resonance with how we should perceive and appreciate the sacredness of life on this planet.
So you translated it? Or
no, it just came to me. It was a download.
You put it into English, right?
Right. I put it into English. Right. I gave it Lakota and Dakota titling, Wakanwo Chekiye. But when I hopped out of bed, I'm like, oh, that's right. Paper, pen. I'm writing like a madman, and everything that I wrote down on that June summer overnight, June 8th and 9th overnight, and of course it was like 2:33 in the morning, something like that, 2:34, except for the punctuation and the photo that I added. All of the words are the same. I've changed nothing except for adding punctuation. It was like this massive download of this sacred prayer.
Zahara Celestial's asking, can it be shared to those that don't attend? Are you going to put this up at some point?
It is already up on YouTube, called Wakanwo Chekiye, and it's Wakan, or as white folks would say, Wakan. So, and then Wochekiye, I think, is Wocekiye.
That's on your channel.
Yeah, there's the sound of my voice. And there are photos of Native Americans, Buffalo, Lakota people, the Badlands, Tatanka, which is Buffalo. I created a very powerful visual YouTube video. So instead of having it just static on a piece of paper,
right,
people can actually see it in the live moving images.
What's the name of your YouTube? I'm going to post it up here.
Oh, yeah. Tolek from Dakota.
Okay, Tolek from DAKOTE.
Right. Yeah. And so it's up there right now.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right on.
And the last way that I received information is that I would get knowings of information, major chunks of information. And the woman that I know on this planet, a longtime friend of mine going back to 95, is Adana of Star Ancestry. Well, she's a natural telepath. And you remember her. She grew up in the greater Houston area.
I remember her.
You guys went to the same high school together, which was freaky. We were sitting having that conversation. Literally, either the same high school or the one across, it's like.
I remember, it wasn't the same high school, but yeah, I remember.
But yeah, really close. But in any case, at age 12, she became completely wide open conscious telepath. So what that means is just like you and I are having a conversation right now, she can communicate with the people in the higher dimensions through the use of her mind. Visual images, movie clips. I get some of my own movie clips and movie streams and some imagery, but she's done a great job of providing a lot of the details. Every time I've come up with a whole bunch of questions, she's been able to fill in the gaps for me, and has done an amazing job. Amazing job at it.
Wow. And what's it like for you? Because you started doing this work around 2011 in a big way, way. Because not everybody was coming out saying the things that you were saying and sharing the information you were sharing. Because I went back and looked at it when I met you. But now, like even with something like with your friend, I mean, even like with your own experiences, there's more and more people having these experiences now. It's becoming more common.
It is.
Like to be in this atmosphere now after being in an atmosphere when you were the lone wolf.
It's it's kind of surreal, actually. I've said to Adana a few times, sooner or later, we're going to get to that place where these things are going to start happening and will continuously happen. As an example, you may or may not know this, but about 3 or 4 days ago, and Adana texted me with this. I mean, I've been busy working on the conference, preparing, and she said, "Hey, brother, you ought to know that there's hundreds and thousands of dead fish that have floated to the surface just south of Miami, and they've had an earthquake." And I immediately got the image, and I told her, "You need to understand something. The earthquake is as a result of an undersea volcano that's part of that volcanic trench that goes through the Caribbean." And you remember a couple of years ago, they had a couple of large earthquakes in Puerto Rico and a few other places. I checked with the guys upstairs and I said, this is the official beginning of the major earth changes that are coming to your world.
That resonates.
And how many times have you ever heard of dead fish floating off the coast of Miami? The quiet little East Coast. A few months ago, Delaware had an earthquake. Delaware?
They had one in my brother lives in North Carolina. They had one in North Carolina about 3 months ago.
Yes.
We never had that. I think they hadn't had one since like the teens, the 19s.
Yeah. So we are absolutely in that time. What is it like for me? I'm happy. I'm happy that we have finally, we being led by this planet, are finally entering that era of change and transition that's a precursor to the higher dimensional transformation of this world and many of its beings. And I've taken a lot of flack for that. I asked my Andromeda Council contact people just recently, what about this era of change that we're in right now? And I was very specific about my question. And Adana was there with me. And I said, we've talked about this topic for years, since 2011. For you guys, it's that long. Higher dimensional time. Yeah, higher dimensional time is completely different than organic time, Earth time. And so I said, are we looking at the imminent transition and transformation of this world and its beings in many years from now? Years from now, or many months? And their answer quite emphatically and very quietly was many months.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not, because of the nature of time, I'm not able to say if it's 8 months or 12 or 13 or 14, but we're talking many months and not years. And this is the first time that they've provided any approximate time frame since I was speaking about this in 12 and 13. And I'll qualify this topic, and I'll almost wrap this up. Qualify this topic by saying what I learned through that process is that this time of transition, and I'm really not hung up on whether somebody uses the word density or dimension. I really don't care. But it's a process of definite change. The process of transition leading up to the higher vibrational, if you will, transformation of this planet and its people is not conditioned on time. It's conditioned on cosmic events. Because keep in mind, as I'm sure you know, that this solar system, and as a result, this planet, is traveling and has already into an area of space that is very, very dynamic. And even the Russian National Academy of Sciences acknowledged this in a white paper back in 1997. So these guys were ahead of their time. And they said all of the planets, greater luminosity, greater magnetism, greater vibration, higher number of storms, changes that they would have never expected to see happen. I think a couple of the planets have already gone through magnetic pole shifts in the past few years. So this is indicative. These kinds of cosmic Earth changes. Oh yeah, and the last one is a whole boatload, as a metaphor, of space junk. Asteroids and meteors and meteorites and meteors. We're traveling through that area of space right now, and it's going to get worse and worse and worse. And it is these events, these cosmic events in space, that are triggering the changes in people, socially, emotionally, energetically, politically. I've already been informed that we're at the peak of our evolution in this form. And that's one of the conditions. At the peak of human evolution, at the peak of cosmic changes in space, affecting the planet and the people of planet Earth, at the peak of all of the Earth changes that are yet to come, volcanoes popping off, earthquakes, as a result, some tsunamis from the earthquakes. All those things are coming as a part of the, if you will, pregnancy of Gaia, of Mother Earth, as she evolves and prepares to birth herself as a higher vibrational world. All of those elements are the cause and effect of us becoming a higher vibrational, whether you call it, and they've told me that like the first iteration of this will be like mid-level 4D, 4.5, 4.6, and then some, wrong word, but sometime later 5D.
Let's go back to that in a second.
Sure.
Here. And the reason is some of our community, they're familiar with you, which doesn't surprise me. Om McManus is going to be in Sedona. He's one of our friends coming over.
Okay.
For 3 or 4 days. He says, I haven't heard anything from you in years, Tolek. Glad you're still doing your thing.
I wonder why he hasn't heard from me, because I've had some less frequent years because of the family commitments to mom. But if he checks my Tolek from Dakota YouTube channel, he'll see that I've done a lot of work. And I've continued to work since 2011 nonstop. 13 and 14 were light years for me, as was 15, because of all of the time that I spent with mom. But
Neil Devaney says Tolek always talked about entering 4D. This is why I stopped you. Can he respond to where he feels we're at now? Now, you were just talking about the first iteration being like 4.5, 4.6, 4.7. Right. So maybe you could tell us, to your to the best of your ability, what those look like. What does those first iterations look like? What does 5D look like? And where are we at?
Sure. Well, and I can speak this way, but here's a reference. A longtime good friend of mine, Mark Kimmel, and a few other people talk about 3D versus 4D or 5D in terms of consciousness. I'm speaking right now about physicality.
Yeah.
Okay. So physically, we will. I'm searching to choose the right word. Physically, we will, for lack of a better word, we will migrate from being these flesh and bone, blood, sinew, muscle, et cetera, organic bodies, and we will transform into higher frequency, higher vibrational, crystalline, fine essence matter beings. And for anybody that is familiar with this topic, anything up to 3D is what you and I are seeing, organic matter. Anything above 3D, which is different levels, vibrational levels of 4D, 5D, 6D, 7D, that's pretty much crystalline, fine essence spirit matter. Some people might call those ghosts. Well, it's not the right term, but in mid-level 4D, in upper level 4D, people can look at each other like you and I are doing, and what we will see is the higher vibrational representation of what we used to look like as 3D humans. That's a possibility. Or if I wanted to create a different projection for myself, like as an example, I'm very comfortable with the fact that I don't look like this in the higher vibrational realm, whether it's 5D or 6D. In my 5D Dakota self, I look like a 7'4", clean-shaven, long-hair native guy, an Indian. I look like an Indian. So that's probably the body I'll choose to use. But in those higher vibratory realms, you can create any kind of visual image that you want other people to see, because you have the ability to have instant manifestation. The world of the vibratory levels of the higher realms, the literal spiritual realms, the literal fine essence matter realms of 4D, 5D, 6D are light, crystalline structure, vibration, energy. But those same realms allow for instant manifestation. But generally, men continue to look bigger, taller, stronger. Women still look like women. They're feminine. They don't need to buy a whole bunch of shoes. They can just manifest them. Generally, men will weigh, if you literally weigh spiritual energy, and I don't know what the exact numbers, but as a comparison, you might think that a tall spiritual man might weigh, as a metaphor, 6 to 8 pounds, and a woman might weigh 1 to 2 pounds. But it's not organic matter. It's light energy, light structure, crystalline structure. When you hit mid-level 5D, all of the things that people have been seeing their cell phones over the past few years. Look at these orbs, purple and yellow and blue. Those are predominantly 5D people, mid-level 5D people who have decided to take their energy, form, and shape and go and make it the size of a softball or a watermelon or cantaloupe, whatever, and just go travel the cosmos. When you get beyond 5D, you don't need a ship to travel. I've learned that. Mid-level 4D, higher 4D, yes. Early 5, yes. They're using technology to travel, but from mid-level 5D and up, don't need a ship.
So somebody, when you were talking about the natural occurrences, the cosmic activity that's affecting the planets and where the Earth is, and you were talking about what from the human 3D perspective is natural disasters, right? Tsunamis, earthquakes, and so on. Somebody asked a question, and I'll just kind of add to it and throw it back in your lap. Does that mean we're all going to die? What does this mean? So my question from that is, and of course, I would just have to throw this in because of I am soul. We're all eternal.
Yeah, right.
There's no death, but in terms of, because there is talk about what does this look like? Are we going to ascend without physically dying as a species, overcoming that? And I guess what I'm saying is, based on your description, other people have talked about the transformation into the light body, crystalline, but it's not. I guess it's not outside the realm of possibilities that higher dimensional, higher frequency beings, whether they just went through the transformation or had been transformed for a long time, could actually live through these events that might affect someone in a physical 3D identity, right?
Well, you raise a really good point, and it's actually a point of differentiation in terms of how we live as 3D organic, these bodies that terminate at some point. Whether you're, I'll use an example, a very good friend of mine from the greater Melbourne, Australia area, Marie Batchelor, whom I think you've interviewed. Yeah, Marie had a life-changing but highly unfortunate experience because on a Saturday morning about 12 years ago, she was out with her 5 kids taking a walk. And her youngest child, William, like 4 years old, blonde hair, little curly blonde hair, blue eyes. I guess he was on the tail end for some reason. And a young woman, teenage girl, had just gotten her Australian driver's license. And she lost control of the car and killed Marie's youngest son. Now, that irrevocably changed Marie's life. That death in their family terminated her marriage, and she went through massive transformation, and she's a completely different person than today. So I bring up the story because whether you're 5 years old or you're like my mom, who's 89 going through dementia and Alzheimer's, we all have an endpoint. On Earth, we say, he died on November 14th, 1968, or he died on...
This is getting good. He'll be right back. We're going to wrap it up in a minute, but I want to hear where he's going with this. So, I put up I'll put it up again. I put up the URL for the tickets. There we go. So,
okay. So my point to the story, as it bombed again, whether we die by getting hit by a car, or whether, like my mom and other people who make it into their 80s and they have Alzheimer's, and at some point they just check out, this human organic body dies. You drive through Texas. How many deer have you seen by the side of the road? The deer are, by our description, dead. But the concept of spiritual life, unless an oversoul responsible for his or her soul fractal purposefully requests termination, that's the only condition under which a higher vibrational being can die. Otherwise, it's my lack of sleep coming through. In an energetic, higher vibrational, crystalline spirit matter life existence, we simply evolve from mid-level 4D to high-level 4D to low-level 5D through various experiences, high-level 5D, then 6D, then 7D. We have all these different experiences that help us evolve. And so once we transform from 3D organic beings and we drop these bodies, then we're looking at lives, literal spiritual life, energy, matter lives of thousands and thousands and thousands of years.
Yeah.
Just like forever. And at the moment of transformation, when it happens on this planet, say, let's call it as an example, straight up 12 midnight. And at 12 o'clock and 5 seconds and 10 seconds, you would look down at your organic body and you would basically see baby powder, this like white fine dust. And your higher dimensional self, taller, lighter, would simply emerge. Mm-hmm. And no pain, zero. Everything that I've heard, both from Adana and many other people, because I've been to some of the IONs, after life after death conferences from friends of mine. At the moment of death, or what people call death, no pain, none, zero. So at the moment of transformation from 3D organic to higher, like mid-level 4.5, 4.6, it's just simply transformation. And you will emerge as a higher vibrational, taller, either male-looking or female-looking, whatever you choose, whatever look that you want. And you're in a spirit form from that point forward. Now, some people can say, nah, I don't want to do this. Well, what they'll do is they'll reincarnate on another Earth-like world. Other people are going to have the opportunity to get on some ships and go to some alternate Earth-like worlds. So that's going to happen. There's going to be an exodus of a few million people off planet Earth to go to a world that's about the size of Jupiter, that's basically virgin. And it's very, very, I mean, there's subtleties and there are differences, but there's a commitment on the part of the people of the council to take 3 different races, the different diverse races of humans on planet Earth, and people that are also human from 2 other planets, collectively on a large biosphere to this new alternate Earth. And the journey will take about 10 years. And they've told me that the journey is going to take 10 years because we, as really diverse...
Fascinating stuff. That sedona internet is always acting wild, even when I was there. I broadcast from several different places. Here we go. This is all fascinating. Go ahead.
Yeah, we as really diverse Earth humans on this one planet, and there are probably at least 7 different human species on this planet. And as an example, look at Asian people, what we call Asian people, compared to African people, compared to compared to Asian, African, Caucasian, people from India. Those 4 are 4 distinct human races of humans that have come from other star systems that are living here today. We give them different names, but they're from 4 different races. So we have this diversity of culture, language, religion, sorry to say, and all of these beliefs of, no, my way is the right way to live. Well, I'm making this speech because the people providing the ship for the evacuation, they have a mandate for the Earth humans and anybody else. It's like, listen, if you're going to be in this biosphere, you're going to get along for 10 years because A, we're not going to allow you to be violent. B, we're not going to allow you to abuse each other. C, we're not going to allow you to pollute this virgin biosphere. D, we're not going to allow you to go to this brand new virgin planet and pollute that. So y'all are going to have to learn how to get along. They're purposely doing it for 10 years to give people the time necessary to start to acclimate to one another.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was like, 10 years, what? And we're like, well, here are the reasons. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Only if you regenerate and regress in age.
Yeah, y'all got to grow up. It's time to become emotional adults, Earth humans.
We're going to get together again when we're in Sedona. I don't know what's wrong with my mic. over there in West Sedona. We
Yeah.
talked about that, you and I. So we're going to be seeing a lot more of Tolek on our streaming between the 20th, 21st, and the 1st of October. So I'm looking forward to spending some time with you, because now that you're telling me you're not going to do any more events, or of this size anyway.
Right.
I don't know when I'll see you again, but I just want to thank you for all the work that you've done over the years, because it's been important for a lot of people. You brought a lot of people to a place to meet each other, be it virtually or on site. But we'll definitely be spending some time with you, so you guys can be looking forward to hearing more about this stuff. It's fascinating. And also from some of these incredible people that he's got, that will both be presenters and speakers, as well as audience members, because he's going to be passing that mic around, and we're going to grab whoever we can and have conversations and put as much tape as we can together, just to document it and have it and preserve it in our own physical Akashic, I guess.
Yeah, sure. It's everything you just mentioned is the reason why I'm doing this in person. This is a live in-person event with all of the conferences that have gotten canceled this year.
Yeah.
I made a commitment to myself. I'm like, if we're only going to be 24 people, I talk about beyond the speakers.
Yeah.
I was still going to do this event, because I believe it's important for people to have that sense of communication and touch and compassion, and be able to look at each other in the eye and really hear each other as we speak our truth and tell our stories.
Right.
That's why it's important, because it's important for people to get together and to have
That's right.
To have live experiences.
Big props to you for this, because I know it takes a lot of work. I haven't done any big events, but I just know it takes a lot of work, and you're exactly right. This is all the reasons that you list are right on the money, and we're in alignment with you on that. And so we're here to support it.
Thank you. Thanks.
And to do everything we can to expand awareness of it. If you haven't bought your ticket, evidently there's only 12 or 14 left. Here is the URL address directly to where you can purchase one. And with that, Tolek, I guess we'll see you, I would say probably in about 7 to 10 days in West Sedona, and we'll do a little broadcasting over there, and bring your flute.
I will.
All right, brother.
I'll give you a call. Thanks so much. It's been a treat.
All right. Take care, bro.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Excellent. Most excellent. See you in a week, brother.
Hey, did you see your smiling face?
Yeah, I did. I saw a bunch of people.
Yeah, I did that on purpose.
Thank you. I'll see you soon. Take care, brother.